The city Madill Board of Adjustments will come to order. We'll have a roll call.
Flo.
Here.
McHatton.
Yes.
Gamble.
Yep.
Here.
Chapman.
Here.
Ward.
That's
Yep.
you. You need to answer.
He said
Quorum
yes.
is present.
Can't hear.
Item 3, we have a discussion and action on the November 21st minutes. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Gamble.
Yep.
McHatton.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
Flo.
Yes.
Item 4, I have a report from the inspector's report.
So since our last meeting, I have received an email from Jason Pruitt, and it reads that he went through the planning and zoning ordinance. He did not see where it mentioned any home-based occupations in Part 12, Chapters 1 through 6, other than the definition in the front. He found in Section 12-235-2 states that R2 districts are for family living and protected from all commercial and industrial activity. And then also regarding other health places operational in Madill, whether they're actually permitted or not, I reference Section 12-20 nonconformities intent, which state within the districts there exist lots, structures, and uses of land and structures which are lawful before these regulations were passed or amended, but which would be prohibited or restricted. Is the intent of these regulations to permit these nonconformities to continue until they are removed, but not encourage their survival? It's further the intent these regulations are not shall be enlarged upon, expanded, or extended, nor be used as grounds for adding other structures or uses prohibited elsewhere in the same district. The above included my previous objections were respectfully request that the variance be denied. Then I received a letter from Willie Dean Caldwell that reads, Dear Ms. Kane, I'm writing to express my questions and concerns regarding the placement of the 10-by-20 shed in the backyard of 207 West Francis Madill. The first notice issue was a request to place a 10-by-20 shed in the backyard of 207 West Francis for a use of a barber shop. The second notice did not state the use. Concern, what is the purpose of the shed? My greatest concerns and questions regarding a shed, if it is used as a business barbershop being placed on the 200 block of West Francis Street, are 1. The parking of vehicles on the street on or near 207 West Francis. West Francis is a heavily traveled street, not only with vehicles, but people walking and children walking to and from school in the track and ball field. Francis Street is always busy, and the area of West Francis Street does not provide sidewalks or curbing. Vehicles parked on or in the street would be very hazardous and would interrupt the heavy flow of traffic and dangerous situation for people and or children walking. Number 2, at the first public meeting, the applicant indicated the shed barbershop would only have one customer at a time by appointment. However, there is no guarantee that only one vehicle will be parked near the residence on the busy Francis Street. Number 3, a 10-by-20 shed is a large structure and will cover a large amount of the backyard. Does it meet zoning requirements for that area? Number 4, the applicant indicated no water would be installed. State of the Oklahoma requires all equipment used in the beauty barber shop must be cleaned and disinfected regularly. Thank you for your attention and consideration of my questions and concerns. Sincerely, Willie Dean Caldwell. That's all that I received since our last meeting.
Oh. I want to ask you,
Thank you.
is there any question about the intent of the nonconformities ordinance? It basically says that just because there may be something that was a variance previously doesn't mean that it's grounds to continue to give those type of variances, is what that says.
Before we start discussion, let me go to the, is that all your report?
That's all I have.
Item 5, we'll have discussion and action on placing a 10-by-20 shed in the backyard of 207 West Francis. Shed will be used as a barber shop. Now then, any discussion from anybody?
What was your question again?
Do you all understand the intent of the nonconformities ordinance in the city of Madill that Tracy just read to you? It basically says that just because there may already have been a barber shop somewhere in the past, does not mean, it means you're not supposed to encourage that to continue, and it's not an excuse to justify having another one.
What's the point of having the Board of Adjustments?
Because you have a limited amount of powers. You have powers in section 12-125, and one of the options of giving a variance is it has to be a hardship that's not self-imposed. This is not a hardship. A hardship is if you were going to build a house on one of your empty lots, and because of an existing sewer or water right-of-way, you had to install your driveway out of the measurements for zoning. That's what a variance is.
Well, I mean, a hardship could be monetarily. Technically.
It's self-imposed. It can't be self-imposed.
Isn't it all self-imposed though, if that's what you're trying to get a variance to
Yeah,
change
it's-
something?
that would be all.
Everything that somebody's trying to get a variance for is self-imposed. Technically.
That's-
Not necessarily.
I mean, they're trying to do something and they can't do it because it doesn't meet the zoning, so they come to get a variance because the zoning doesn't allow
But
for
we
it.
have commercial zoning regulations that promote and want businesses in our central business district. And again, when I went by Friday night, it was after 7 o'clock and there were still clients at the barber shop.
One person.
It doesn't make any difference. If there's someone living on that lot there, that's commercial activity in that backyard.
What difference does that make?
Because that's not what our zoning regulations say.
Why is it important to you
Because I own the lot, 2 lots next door, and we have
that you've done nothing with?
that,
And actually, your dad owns the lot.
my dad and I, or you weren't here at the last meeting we
I was here
had.
at the one before that when y'all were complaining. And I heard you say that y'all have a partnership, but you're not listed as owner of the property.
But we're partnerships in it, and we already have plans to build a duplex.
But you
on it.
haven't done anything.
And,
And the
well,
legal
we're
description
just
on
now
it doesn't
getting
show your
started.
name.
It doesn't make any difference whether it's my name or not. I'm
It does if you
representing
want to
him.
complain about this.
My dad and I sent it both in together on an email to Tracy. It's got his name on it. He's not here because he's at work. He
Well, I understand
works-
that. I
he
know your
works-
dad
he
very
works
well. I know
for
exactly where
midnight.
he's at. But my point is that when we look at who owns the property, it doesn't list Jason Pruitt.
Well, what does that matter to this?
It doesn't make any difference.
Because you have to live within
I'm
300
his sole
feet,
heir, and that's mine when he dies, Baker.
but he's not in it.
It doesn't make any difference. He doesn't want to come here. He wants me to take care of him.
I understand. I don't want to be here either.
Why are you on the Board of Adjustments?
I probably won't be for much longer.
Well,
What my issue is we had somebody ask for a variance on the very far east side of town. We had somebody ask for a variance on the northwest part of town. And now we have somebody ask for a variance over here, and the same people are complaining about it.
Well, we can't talk about the other variance because it's not on the agenda.
I'm just saying,
And
just a
there's
conversation
issues with
between me
that.
and you. Now, I understand that your family owns land beside this, so we need to listen to what you're saying. And I'm listening to what you're saying, but I don't understand where your problem is. There's someone there at 7 o'clock at night. Whether that is a person visiting, or somebody that's getting their hair cut, or somebody that's lost asking for directions, do people go to you? Do you have people at your house at 7 o'clock at night? I occasionally have people at my house at 7 o'clock at night.
But not in the backyard doing commercial activity coming and going in someone's backyard. It's a residential district. It's heavily trafficked with school traffic.
At
And that is
7:45 in the
our-
morning and at 3:15 in the afternoon, it's heavily
It
trafficked.
doesn't make any difference. You have
It
all the
does.
other neighborhoods in the area. Greg, you said that the Huffmans came to you and verbally expressed that they were against it.
Yeah.
And they said they
She
weren't gonna
did,
write
yes.
anything because they didn't wanna cause any trouble.
Exactly.
And that wasn't disclosed at the last one, and that needs to be taken into account.
I mean, there are people that don't want it there and they just don't,
And they just don't wanna say anything.
yeah.
I also have people that have told me it would be good because their kids can walk from school and not have to cross the big highway to get their hair cut.
But,
I've had kids walk from school to
Your kid,
the square
Yes.
all the time.
but
your kid.
that doesn't give a justification to having a barber shop in the
No,
backyard
I'm
in a
just
residential
saying,
area.
it's also someone who doesn't express, but they live close by.
Your know why it's the same?
I do have a question, and it was brought up to me a few days ago, and I don't have any idea, don't know you from Adam. But the guy has come and got his hair cut from you. And he told me that you don't have a barber's license.
I have a license.
Yes, you do.
I can
Have you
show-
showed it?
I have it in my car, actually. I have a little thing I can show you.
I'd like to see it. Because, I mean, I'm strictly going on hearsay.
Hearsay.
Well, I
He
think
does, he couldn't be there if he.
Well, I know, my wife does hair, so.
Yeah. And
But-
there are several people, I mean, there's someone down the street that cuts hair. And they don't have a facility. And
Yeah,
they have
there's a lot of
cars.
that going on. and
There's
A lot of people
someone
just don't
super
realize that
Oakland.
it's going on.
And we're just trying to do it the correct way, opposed to just having people come to the house and do it.
Yeah.
In all honesty. I mean, there's so many people that do it without, whether they have a license or not.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't
and
know.
I've heard all about it, that there's some
I
high
don't
school
know.
kid that's doing it and cuts
And
all the boys'
there's
hairs.
there's a couple of ladies that do
Yeah.
it. There's business for everyone apparently.
I'm waiting on my renewal to come in, because it's just,
Yeah, yeah.
well, it's cosmetology, but it's the same thing. The only thing
Yep.
I can't use is the,
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Any more discussion?
I believe Willadine had her hand.
Oh, yeah.
Dane, you have something?
I was just gonna make a remark to Baker, that the same people are here because we're concerned. The reason other people don't come is because of your attitudes when we're here. You treat us like we're somebody bad. We're only here because we're concerned about the neighborhood, we're concerned about the town. It's where we live. Do you live here, Baker? Do you live inside city limits? Do you care what's going on around here? Don't you care? We care. And we're just trying to make sure that things are done the correct way. It's our town. We want it to grow. We want it for people to come and be here and live here. But at the rate it's going, I don't know. I just don't know. And you've been here as long as I've been here. I've been here longer than you, Becker. Probably longer than any of you except Jimmy. And I've seen it go down, and it keeps going down. So we're
So-
just trying to make things right.
So you're saying by this young man cutting hair at a
I'm sorry?
residence,
I
you're
don't know.
saying that this young man cutting hair at a residence is causing our town to go down?
It's causing a problem, yes. It's causing a it will cause a traffic problem. It will cause a hazardous problem. It will cause people to have to stop, watch for children, which we
They
already
have
have
to-
to
Yeah,
do.
you already have to do that.
It will cause a problem, yeah. And it will cause a problem for somebody wanting to build next to it, as Jason said, because it's gonna be people there at night after 7 o'clock going and coming and,
Most barbershops are not open every night. I mean, I could understand
Yeah.
somebody calls and
Maybe
I
not
can't
every
get there
night.
and can you cut my hair when I get off
think
work?
about tonight, have you been up to the school?
I just came from the school.
There's a traffic up there right now that you wouldn't believe.
No, I drove straight here. I didn't have any traffic.
Some of them will be walking.
There will be as the ball game gets closer to, I guess, another 30 minutes. There'll be
Football game and
five
field,
high school games
ball.
a year. So
So another thing is that we have commercial zoning for a reason, because we want to develop our commercial businesses, and we have several places that are empty, they're not rented, they're not very well cared for, that's probably why they're not rented, but they're commercially zoned for a reason. And, you want to kind of keep your commercial properties separate from your residential properties. And, when we look at our downtown and there's so many little rundown places, and they haven't been rented or used, and that's not attractive to people that are moving here or thinking about moving here. So, you know, we're just trying to go by what the ordinances say and trying to follow the rules. Just somebody follow the rules and do what they say. And if you don't like them, then let's change the rules. But as long as they're here, we're supposed to abide by them, because I'm expected to, and everyone else should be expected to also. I mean, you know, I could operate a business out of my home too, but I don't want to. I don't think my neighbors would appreciate it, and I wouldn't appreciate it if they operated a business out of their home. But, you know, we're just trying to maintain some kind of standards in the town so that we can make it more attractive, and the property values will be worth more, and people will want to come here and open businesses. So that's part of it too.
I understand that, but I don't see what he's asking to do.
Well, here's
as being a
another thing
detriment.
too, is that you let him do it, and then this other guy wants to do it, and this other guy, and this girl, and this, and before you know it, you've got it all over town. See, that's the problem when you don't follow the rules and you let people do what they want. Then other people see it and say, oh, well, I want to do that too. Well, he didn't have a hardship, so why should I have to have one? So that's what we're trying to do, is just enforce the rules. And if you don't like them, then we need to change them to where they benefit everyone.
Well, couldn't the city council or the planning and zoning do that, like change the rules where people could have to pay a license fee or something? Like for licensed businesses in town, so we could
I
actually
really
collect
don't know
revenue?
I don't know the process
They
of
could be
changing
regulated?
ordinances, but it can be done. I'm sure it can
We
be
can't
done.
do that here.
Mary Ann?
So yes, the city council could impose fees and permits and stuff like that. But to expound on some of that, like, I don't know these individuals, you know, I know you guys from meetings and stuff like that. When it comes to a small business, I don't have a problem with anyone having a business. This is not my deal there, but if we have an issue with someone putting a business in their yard, like a duplex is considered a commercial property.
No, it's considered a two-family dwelling, and it is currently, zoned for that R2 area.
Well,
So if it's a shed and he has no running water hooked up to it, then is it considered a business property?
But doesn't he have to have
It's-
running water if he's a cosmetologist?
It's-
No, they have, what's that called? Not insecticide. What is it stuff called?
Herbicide.
Herbicide, yes.
He doesn't have to have a restroom?
well,
No, not if you, no, that's a capacity thing.
Really?
But those are just my things, you know, and again, I mean, I know that it's not on the agenda open for discussion, but you guys opened it for discussion.
Oh, yeah.
So those are just my questions. I understand that, you know, it is a heavy road, I mean, a heavily trafficked road. My kids have grown up going to Madill and everything. I travel Francis frequently. I see other homes where the driveways or the parking is set off to the back. And I don't have a problem with duplexes or multifamily living at all either. You know, it's just, that's just my question. It's like, you know, comparing apples and oranges, you know, they're a fruit, but, you know, it's just a different flavor.
Well, I want to add to that, and Baker, you're acting like we haven't done anything with that lot. My mother died 3 years ago, and I just got moved up here 2 years ago. We all went through COVID and everything else.
I remember.
We already have 2 builds in line first in Durant with a builder
You
from
told us
Buckshea.
that at not the last meeting, but the one before.
Okay, but I'll make sure that it's clear. And so the third one is for over here. So acting like we're just holding 2 empty lots and just being
I'm just going off
bullheaded.
what I see.
Is
I'm not saying that
Okay.
you have no intention.
Well, I'm explaining to you right now.
I'm just, well, I don't need to be explained to. I went by and looked at it on more than one occasion. I leave the school to come by that way more often than not. And what I see was a lot that before not the last meeting, but the one before that hadn't been mowed.
My dad keeps it mowed.
It is now, but it hadn't been mowed at the time. Because I came by today and looked. So I'm not saying you're not taking care of it. I'm just saying that at this time, there's not anything happening on it. But maybe something will start happening tomorrow, maybe January, maybe June. That's completely up to y'all because y'all own it.
That's correct.
I was just stating what I saw. So I don't need anything explained to me on that.
And Mary Ann, duplex. The duplex is designed to be a period correct home where the exterior of it looks exactly like all the other houses in the block. The entrance for one will be on Francis, and the entrance for the other one will be on South Third Avenue. So they'll have separate entrances, so it won't be commercial as far as like a whole bunch of parking spots.
I don't care.
Right there on the edge of Francis, congested.
How long are we gonna have to do
And it
this?
has to be
How
set
long do we
back
have
towards
to
the
have this
corner
discussion?
lot.
I've got a
It has to
question
be
for y'all.
15 feet over from the side,
One more minute.
and it has to be 25 feet back from the front of the
Okay,
side.
I've got a question.
So it has to be pretty much
I've got a comment to
situated
make.
one of the two lots in the back corner. And that's, the concern was
Here, if,
the amount
Come
of
up here and
rents
I'll
that can
go
be
ahead.
charged if there's
You
commercial
go.
activity going on in the back.
I understand what they're talking about, the traffic and the possibility of cars being parked in the road, and I also understand, my mom owned a beauty shop for years, and I understand that it may be a one client at a time deal, but that doesn't mean that somebody's not gonna just drive up and say, hey, you got time to do mine. So, all that. Parking wise, is there a way that you can park 2 or 3 vehicles without being in the roadway?
Yes.
Okay.
They
I can even park
here
next door to my
what
aunt, she lives right next door too.
Yeah,
She doesn't.
we own the, I mean, my
I don't
sister
think
owns
you
the
should be
property
doing
next door.
that.
I could literally park my truck right there in her yard.
Oh, he's asking about parking.
Okay. All right, thank you.
He asked him about parking.
What I asked was, did he have the capability of parking 2 or 3 vehicles on the property without them being in the road? And he said he did. So that's, and they have family that has the house next door that doesn't mind if they park in their driveway. So that eliminates, not eliminates, but minimizes the chance of vehicles being parked in the road. It doesn't completely eliminate it because you never know where somebody's going to park. But for the most part, those cars wouldn't be in the road. So the traffic problem that goes on up there anyway is going to be relatively the same. So that's what I was asking him. I wasn't trying to keep a secret from anybody. Jason was talking. I didn't want to interrupt him. So I asked him to come up where we could have that conversation. And I didn't know the answer to that. So.
I heard I'd like to make just a comment about the Board of Adjustments. If the rules were followed exactly, we would not have this Board of Adjustments. The Board of Adjustments is to make adjustments if we see fit to decline or approve an adjustment to some of the rules. That's my understanding of the Board of Adjustments. And we don't make the rules. We can adjust the rules if we see fit one way or the other. I mean, that's my understanding of the purpose of the Board of Adjustments.
You've got some parameters that you've got to follow. And the applicant is supposed to have a hardship. And a financial hardship is not really a hardship.
Does it define the definition of the hardship in there?
Do we have any other discussion?
Yeah, they're not doing it.
Hold on just a second.
Your powers are in section 12-125, section 3 under variances. And it said variance may be granted in whole, in part, or upon reasonable conditions only upon a finding by the Board of Adjustments that application of this chapter to this particular piece of property would create an unnecessary hardship not self-imposed by the owner or developer. Such conditions are particular only to the particular piece of property involved, or relief, if granted, would not cause substantial detriment to the public good or impair the purpose and intent of zoning regulations or the comprehensive plan, provided that no variance may be granted for a use of land or buildings or structures that is prohibited by this chapter. And if granted, the variance would be the minimum necessary to alleviate the unnecessary hardship. And it says, the extent of relief in section 5, it says the powers of the Board of Adjustment shall be so applied that the terms of these regulations will be strictly enforced. Shall is not optional. Shall means you have, this is your parameters and you have to stick with it. And that's the whole problem with this. It's not a hardship. We asked him at the first meeting why he wanted to do this, and what was wrong with the downtown place where he was cutting hair, and he said, I just want my own. It's not a hardship.
What's your definition of a hardship?
What's your definition of a hardship?
I'm not the one talking, I'm not the one complaining about it. You're saying a hardship, so tell me what it's.
Your city attorney should probably be here to give that to you, but if you want, I can look it up on my phone and Google it and read a definition.
I'm just saying, if you're saying that he don't have a hardship, but you don't know the definition, how do you know he doesn't have a hardship?
A hardship is when you have something that is beyond your control that you can't change. He
And
currently is
also-
cutting
He can't
hair.
change the fact that his house is a R2 zoned.
And you know, you talk about the parking, there's not very much parking where he's at now, you know? It's very limited because of the corner drug, it's very limited because of 4Ls. There's times when it's full there and it's after hours, and it's not because they're at the barber shop. They could be at the gym, which is there 24/7. Because it's my property.
Oh.
But why didn't you ask for the variance?
I did. I did.
Okay.
I did. That's why I'm here.
Any more discussion?
And
Where's our
out of
attorney?
30 people that the letters were sent out to, 10% or less are the ones that are opposing. Correct? 2, 3?
But it's not a popularity or a gang mob rule thing. It's you have your parameters in this book's telling you how you can do variances and how you can't. It's not a thing where we're trying to convince you or negotiate back and forth whether we're trying to convince one person or another where it would be justifiable or not. That's not what variances are. Have any of you ever read the section on the Board of Adjustments that's in here?
I've read everything in, whatever.
Well, I got a copy of it because I was asked to be on planning and zoning in February, and we've yet to have one meeting. And I went through this whole book preparing for it. I have notes. I have it tabbed. So anything you want to know about it, I've got it right here. But if you want to know what a hardship is, pull your phone out and look up what the definition of a hardship is. It's when you're deprived of something. It's when you're needy or something like that. And just because I want it is not a hardship. It's an unfair advantage to all the other hair and business professionals that have to rent commercial space in downtown area.
What about the ones that don't?
That aren't.
They're operating illegally, and they shouldn't be operating like that.
Yeah.
And they should be getting a letter from Tracy if she's aware of it, telling them to cease and desist or apply for a variance. I mean,
And no names or anything have been brought to me about people working illegally. So I'm not aware of those individuals.
and again,
But if you have their information, I will take action on it. I just, none of the information's been presented to me. So I don't
And the
know.
only other thing is, I do have one, there's only 3 spots here, other than the alley.
They handle.
Yeah. So, and that's, most of the time there's 2 cars there, because there's 2 people that drive, so there's only 1 spot. He only has himself there.
Yeah.
I can figure out what it's saying.
I was trying to ask where our attorney was earlier.
Yeah.
Because she wasn't here last time.
Yeah.
Did she actually look at anything from the minutes or anything last time? that's looking
Not
at-
on this one, she has not.
I say we go ahead and table it to the next meeting and have the lawyer look at it.
Okay, I'll bring it all.
That sound like a good idea?
I think that's a great idea.
It will
Okay.
probably have to,
Be after the first year?
Yep.
Good, that'd be all right.
So the attorney can do that.
Second?
I just
Yeah, I'll
wanna say is that, what I wanna
Can
say
you make
is,
an
Yep.
motion?
what y'all are trying to say is, do we not have the right to determine what we think is a hardship for somebody?
You need someone to give you what the definition of a hardship is, and just because you want it is not a hardship, Dustin. That's just not what it is.
Then what is it? How are we supposed to know if it's a hardship or not? When somebody comes in here to ask
Well,
for
that's
something.
what they put on their application, is they're supposed to define why they have a hardship
Why they want it.
and why they want it. That's part of the requirements.
So,
So if somebody
There's
has,
only two ways to get
if somebody has a carport and they're wanting to build it a little bit bigger and it's over close to the easement, we're supposed to say, no, you can't do that.
It's not a hardship, and it's self-imposed, and you don't have to have a carport.
then there's no
I'm
reason for a variance. There's no reason.
I'm like,
There's no use for a variance or a zoning, because
We
if
gotta
you
do
have
the
cookie cutter,
Can I
Gamble,
second it?
you second, yeah. It- it's going
McCatton,
What
on
was
your
the
eyes.
second?
Ward,
Yes.
The tabling it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Chapman, Flo. Okay, are you
I'll send
adjourning?
out
Yes.
Letters to everybody,
Second.
letting them know.
Yeah.
When I have a date. All I need to look at the calendar.
Gamble,
and
Yep.
get the-
McCatton,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Lowe.
So can I talk? Are we done or?
Yeah, go ahead.
Meeting's over.
I
Go
need
ahead.
to make sure everybody heard me on that.
It's over.
I'm going to